Sun Tzu life lessons warriors learn too late. In the calm before conflict, before the banners rise and the war drums echo, there is a voice, quiet, ancient, unwavering. It speaks of victories not earned through brute strength, but through clarity, discipline, and understanding. That voice belongs to Sun Tzu, but his words, though timeless, are often heard only in hindsight, when the battle is over, when the cost is counted, when the silence that follows is louder than the chaos that came before. They learn too late that emotion is the enemy of strategy. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. The young warrior, full of fire, lets rage guide his hand. But rage is predictable. It blinds, it rushes, it falls into traps. Only later does the seasoned fighter realize, control, not fury, wins the day. They learn too late that chaos can be an ally, if understood. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. In the heat of battle, whether on fields of war or in boardrooms, relationships, or inner turmoil, many see only disorder. They panic, they retreat. But Sun Tzu teaches, within disorder lies the thread of control. The one who finds it rules the storm. They learn too late that appearances are illusions. All warfare is based on deception. They trusted the loudest voice, the strongest arm, the most polished smile. They underestimated the quiet ones, the subtle ones, the ones who waited. Only after betrayal, defeat, or collapse do they see. The truth was never on the surface. They learned too late that overextension is defeat in disguise. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will everywhere be weak. The ambitious stretch themselves thin. More battles, more goals, more conquest. They believe more means stronger. But Sun Tzu whispers, strength lies in focus, not in frenzy. They learn too late the value of stillness. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. In a world obsessed with motion, stillness feels like stagnation. But stillness is observation. Stillness is strength gathering its breath. It's the moment before the tide turns. The wise warrior learns that stillness is not weakness. It is mastery. They learn too late that victory is not always loud. To capture the enemy's entire army is better than to destroy it. To take intact a regiment, a company, or a squad is better than to destroy them. They celebrate only the grand triumphs, the conquests, the applause. But Sun Tzu teaches that the quiet victories, the ones where no blood is shed, where understanding replaces violence, where bridges are mended, those are the truest wins. And finally, they learned too late that the greatest enemy was never out there. It was within: fear, doubt, ego, anger, impatience. Thus, the expert in battle moves the enemy and is not moved by him. The real battle is staying unmoved, clear, unshaken by the world's chaos. Few win that war early. Most lose to themselves long before their outer battles are lost. But if the warrior listens, not with ears but with humility, then Sun Tzu's voice still speaks. His lessons are not just for generals. They are for all of us, because in truth, we are all warriors. Of time, of pressure, of decisions, of self. The silent preparation. Sun Tzu's guide to winning before the battle. Before the first move is made, before the first word is spoken, the battle is already decided. Sun Tzu taught that war is not won in the clash of swords, but in the silence before them, the unseen hours, the internal work, the patient steps no one praises. This is the art of silent preparation, the space where real warriors are forged. They begin with awareness. Know yourself and you will win all battles. To know yourself is not to list your strengths, it's to face your weaknesses without flinching, to sit with your insecurities, to understand the patterns that sabotage you. Most avoid this work. Warriors seek it. They study the terrain. He who knows the terrain and the weather will never be at a loss. In life, the terrain is your environment, your habits, your people, your systems. Warriors examine the ground they walk on. Are they building strength or are they walking into ambushes of distraction, doubt, or false validation? They learn to wait. Those who excel in resolving difficulties do so before they arise. The world tells you to act fast, decide now, never pause. But Sun Tzu knew, a well-timed strike is stronger than 100 impulsive ones. Warriors do not rush. They move when the moment is ripe, because they have prepared for it long before. They train invisibly. The greatest warriors don't post their grind. They don't explain their discipline. Their preparation is quiet, unshared, relentless. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. And when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. They master flexibility. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground. Life does not go as planned. The rigid break, the flowing adapt. Warriors train not just for one path, but for all possibilities. They are firm in goal, but fluid in method. They build alliances, not armies. He will win who has the military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. In the modern world, this means surrounding yourself not with people who control you, but with those who sharpen you. Warriors seek guidance, not permission. Wisdom, not applause. And above all, they remain unseen until it matters. Engage people with what they expect. It settles them into predictable patterns of response. Then surprise them. The true warrior does not need to prove anything before the moment arrives. When the time comes, their presence speaks for itself. Sun Tzu's true genius was not in teaching how to fight. It was in teaching how to win without fighting. This is the chapter that comes before the battle. The quiet work, the invisible effort, the preparation no one sees. Because when it's done right, the fight never happens. The warrior walks through the field untouched, because they already won long before they stepped onto it. Victory through deception, the power of illusion in life's battles. Narration. In every battle, deception is the sword hidden in the shadows. It is the whisper in the wind, the twist in the tale, the misdirection that confuses and misleads. For Sun Tzu, it was not just a tactic, it was the art of victory itself. Victory through deception is the essence of war, but it goes beyond mere trickery. It is the strategic mastery of what to reveal and what to conceal. All warfare is based on deception, but deception is not about lies. It is about control of the narrative. It is about shaping perceptions, guiding attention, and creating openings where none exist. The warrior learns to mislead. In life, we constantly face expectations and judgments. The key is not to fight against these forces, but to redirect them. A warrior knows how to conceal their true intentions, whether in business negotiations, personal relationships, or even self-promotion. It's the art of showing just enough to provoke action, but not enough to expose the final move. The warrior learns the art of feigned weakness. Pretend inferiority and encourages arrogance. To the untrained eye, the warrior might seem vulnerable, but this is part of the plan. The key to deception is to appear weaker than you are, to lull your adversary into a false sense of security. Then when they least expect it, strike with strength. They understand the power of uncertainty. When you are able to attack, you must seem unable. When using your forces, you must appear inactive. When you are near, you must make the enemy believe you are far away. Deception is about misleading the enemy's expectations. It is about clouding their vision, making them question their every move. The powerful warrior doesn't just react. They control the narrative, keeping the enemy perpetually off balance. Deception isn't just about outward tactics. It's an inward discipline. The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals. A warrior knows that true deception begins in the mind. To master it, you must first deceive yourself. Believe in the possibilities even when the odds are stacked against you. It's about crafting the narrative of your own success, even when doubt creeps in. Above all, the warrior knows that deception is a dance, not a sprint. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The greatest victories don't come from overpowering your opponent. They come from outsmarting them, outmaneuvering them, making them think they are in control until it is too late. Chapter 4. The Inner War, Conquering Yourself Before Conquering the World. Narration. Before any enemy can be defeated, the greatest war must first be fought, the battle within. Sun Tzu knew that true mastery begins not with the enemy, but with self-mastery. To lead others, one must first conquer the heart and mind. To know your enemy, you must first know yourself. This isn't just about understanding your strengths. It's about facing your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses head-on. Victory begins with the inner war. The warrior learns the power of stillness. Be still like a mountain and flow like a great river. In a world filled with noise, the greatest warriors are those who know how to be still, how to remain grounded in chaos. The more still the warrior is, the sharper their focus. The sharper their focus, the more decisive their actions. In war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. The mind must be as fluid as water, adjusting to the environment and the challenge at hand. When one path is blocked, the warrior doesn't waste energy on stubborn resistance. They flow, they adapt, they become the change necessary to win. Most importantly, the warrior knows that the hardest battle is against themselves. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. This is the lesson few truly embrace. The path to greatness isn't paved with external victories alone. It's forged through overcoming internal resistance. The warrior learns that every victory on the battlefield is merely a reflection of the inner mastery they've achieved. To conquer oneself is to conquer the world. When the warrior no longer fears their own doubts, insecurities, or weaknesses, they find that the world outside holds no real threat. They are prepared for whatever comes, for they have already faced the fiercest battle, the one within. The wisdom of silence. Mastering the art of strategic quiet. In a world filled with constant noise, there is a secret to power that few understand. Silence. Sun Tzu's teachings were steeped in the knowledge that silence is not emptiness, but power. It is a strategy in itself. Silence does not simply mean the absence of sound. It means withholding, choosing when to act, when to speak, and when to simply wait. To know when to be silent is the most difficult skill in warfare. In the heat of battle, whether in conversation, competition, or conflict, the instinct is often to shout, to act, to assert. But the warrior knows the true strength of silence is in its ability to bide time, to create space for the right move, and to observe without revealing intention. The warrior learns to observe before speaking. The more you know, the less you say. The warrior listens to the sounds of the environment, to the whispers of the wind, to the subtle changes in the energy around them. By remaining silent, they gather information. They learn the motives of the enemy. They decipher patterns, weak spots, and cracks that are invisible to those too eager to speak. They learn that silence creates mystery. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. One of the most powerful forms of silence is misdirection. By withholding their true strength, a warrior makes their enemy underestimate them. Silence in this context is not just the absence of noise, it's the absence of expectation. The enemy cannot anticipate, cannot predict when the warrior's strike will come, because the warrior has kept their moves hidden in silence. Silence is a tool for patience. He who is patient wins. He who is impatient falls. When emotions rise and actions are rushed, silence gives the warrior the clarity to pause, assess, and then choose the right moment. It is in the stillness of patience that decisions are honed. The warrior doesn't speak in haste and doesn't act impulsively. They are calm, calculating, and precise. Silence brings peace. In a world that pushes for constant action, noise, and affirmation, silence is the space in which true power grows. The more the warrior remains silent, the more they control the battlefield. Not through confrontation, but through stillness. The greatest warriors know that true strength is often shown in quiet restraint. It's not about filling every silence with words or actions, but knowing when to remain unseen, when to let others speak, and when to let your own silence speak louder than any battle cry. The cost of war, the hidden price of conflict. Narration. Every warrior knows the thrill of victory and the sting of defeat, but the true cost of war is often unseen until after the dust has settled. Sun Tzu understood that every battle, every conflict has a price that may not be counted in soldiers lost or lands conquered, but in something far deeper. In war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. The first cost of war is time. War consumes time. Time spent planning, preparing, fighting, recovering. A warrior's energy is finite. Even the mightiest army cannot fight forever. But too often we rush into battles without understanding the toll time will take on us. Time is a non-renewable resource, and once it's spent, it cannot be reclaimed. The second cost is emotional. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. War takes not only the body, but the spirit. The wounds of conflict often last long after the external scars heal. A warrior who is constantly in battle, who is always fighting for their place, always trying to prove something, will eventually burn out, mentally and emotionally. Emotional exhaustion is a silent enemy. It wears down resilience. It clouds judgment. And most tragically, it saps the joy from what was once a purpose. The third cost is relationships. War doesn't just affect the soldier, it affects those who stand beside them. The relationships that are tested, with allies, with family, with friends, often suffer irreparable harm. Victory can come with a sense of isolation. Allies may betray, friends may fall away, and even the strongest of bonds can fray under the weight of ongoing conflict. The fourth cost is loss of vision. In the midst of battle, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. The warrior, distracted by the fight, may forget why they entered the conflict in the first place. The true cost of war is the loss of clarity, the narrowing of vision. As Sun Tzu put it, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But when you are consumed by the fight, when your focus is fragmented by immediate concerns, you lose sight of the larger goal, of the reason you're fighting in the first place. The fifth cost is identity. War changes a warrior. The battle scars, the trauma, the victories and defeats, they all reshape the warrior's identity. What began as a pursuit of a cause may over time become a pursuit of self-interest. The warrior may lose touch with their initial purpose, and in the process may lose themselves. The true cost of war, then, is often the price of our own souls. Sun Tzu knew that war should be a last resort, not a first option. The wise warrior chooses battles carefully, understanding that the toll of conflict is not just physical, it is spiritual, emotional, and personal. The cost is always higher than expected, and it is not always immediately apparent. Victory in war is not worth the cost of the soul. Therefore, the greatest victory lies not in the battle itself, but in avoiding unnecessary war, in mastering the art of peace, and in choosing when not to fight.